I'll tell you, things just get stranger and stranger by the day. I was just doing this video. Here I am, the same shirt on, the same feather, the same hand, same cut. Now, what am I talking about? New research overturns decades-old beliefs about how cancer grows and spreads. Because I've been studying cancer and all diseases, and every single disease there is, in my opinion, other than something breaking and so forth, is an invasion of a membrane. That's what cancer is. Every cancer invades into the tissue of the organ, and then it starts growing in that organ, and then it gets bigger and bigger, and it invades. Now, so it has to invade the membrane. There's a membrane that says, no, you can't come in here. And if the membrane doesn't do its job, it goes through. That's where you get cancer. In my opinion, all this is theory. I'm not telling you to take anything or do anything or not do anything. I do research, and that's all I do. Now, these things are looking for a way to break through the membrane. You see what they're doing here? These little fibrils. If they can get through that membrane, and then they get their little tentacles down in there, they start growing. A big mass grows inside your body. They're looking for something to eat. That's all. They're just hungry. Okay, my friends, this is extremely serious. New research overturns decades-old beliefs about how cancer grows and spreads. I'm going to explain to you what I believe is the process of invasion, which is what cancer is tissue invasion. Now, they invade with using these little fibrils. And they have never understood what the invasion process is and how cancer actually grows. They overturned decades-old beliefs. Let's see what they've overturned. Okay, my friends, this is very exciting. I just got this from a good friend of mine. He's a triple PhD in bacterial engineering. He understands the bacteria and how to prevent it from causing problems in the food supply system. That's what he does. He maintains and supervises a whole bunch of labs that test food from big producers and make sure that there's going to be no contamination. Now, it still gets through, but they're working on ways to stop it. But anyway, he sends me this. He said, what do you think about this? The brain microbiome understanding it help prevent dementia. Now, I say, and Andy and I have talked about this for a long time, for years, and we're working on a project in North Ireland about autism and stuff. And, you know, primarily it relates to bacteria that's in the body, and that bacteria creates enzymes. I'm going to show you the process in a minute. But they always thought your brain was immune from that. No, your brain can't do that because the blood-brain barrier. Well, you have to have chemistry happen in the brain. It requires enzymes. The enzymes get there. Now, I was thinking they got there only through ribosomes, if they were correct about the blood-brain barrier, because ribosomes are so small that they can pass through virtually anywhere. You can have 1 million of those ribosomes in one single cell. So obviously they can go through any kind of little tiny place. And they don't eat, they don't poop, they just go around, and when they're needed, they pop into enzymes. And I'll show you that. So they start in a little tiny ball. Just think of it this way. This is so small you could have 1 million of these inside of one single human cell. One cell, 1 million of these. So think of how small. Now, this is just floating around through your body. They don't eat, they don't poop, they call them free floaters. But what happens is something comes up and it tickles it, like right there, and it goes brip, and it goes brip, and it goes huge like this, and it attacks whatever it's supposed to, or breaks down the food, or whatever it's supposed to do. Now that has to happen in your brain. Your brain's no different than the rest of your body. The chemistry has to be there. So without the chemistry of an enzyme, it can't react fast enough to do life processes. It will not happen. You will die. You have to have these enzymes, and therefore they have to be created by bacteria. So you have to have the bacteria, first of all. Secondly, now they're saying the bacteria lives in your brain, which they never thought before. All you got to do is read this. It says, could the brain have a microbiome of its own, just like your gut has a microbiome? They fully understand this now, in the same way that your gut has. It says, long thought to be sterile, our brains are now believed to harbor all sorts of microorganisms, little tiny bacteria, fungi. How big a part do they play in Alzheimer's and similar diseases? These bacteria are the source of enzymes, which are the source of chemistry, which is the source of life. They play a pretty big part. Okay, I am just reporting on the research that's being done everywhere by all kinds of different people. And this specific study they did was on Parkinson's. And they said it has a link to gut bacteria, and it suggests an unexpected, simple treatment for Parkinson's. Now, I don't know if it treats or what it does. This is not my area. All I know is that bacteria in your gut and my gut and everybody's gut makes enzymes. And only the bacteria makes one specific enzyme. And if you don't have that specific enzyme, when you need it, you're in trouble. That's how people get invaded. That's why 2 people or 10 people in one room, and it's slaughtered with disease. Just disease everywhere. And 2 of them get it, and the other 8 of them don't get it. No, nothing at all. Why? Why doesn't everybody get it? If you did the database of all the bacteria that exists in these 10 people, I can almost absolutely guarantee you 8 of them would be different than the other 2. There's going to be a region in there somewhere that's either too high or too low, and these 2 got invaded because they didn't have that specific enzyme. And they didn't have the specific enzyme because they didn't have the bacteria. Now let me show you the actual sequence of events that creates enzymes that are your immune system. So, like I said, Andy, my good friend, he's right up there with the top of the top. And he sends me this, and because we have been collaborating together on a project in Northern Ireland to address autism. And all we want to do is to get a database of what bacteria exists in everybody and make a database of what's good and what's bad. Sooner or later, you're going to have a pattern develop, and people that have a high concentration of a certain bacteria are going to be predisposed to something. And if they have a low concentration, again, predisposed to something. There'll be patterns that will reflect diseases because the bacteria are the source of enzymes. The enzymes are the source of the chemistry. It's just very, very simple when you break it down to that and you understand the chemistry. So they found these common infections in these dementia people. Why were they getting these infections? Now it goes down and down and down. It says, here they did papers on this. And they were working on papers. It was submitted in 2023. Nobody published it. We want more research. We want more research, more research. He says, that's fair enough. We needed to do 3 more research studies in the United States and all over the place. So they did those. And, but they used some kind of plating and this and that, which is not realistic. So he says, in the gut, we know that there are good microbes and bad microbes. Everybody knows that now. With a healthy and diverse microbiome working to keep potential pathogens at bay. The bacteria in your body create the enzymes that break down and kill the pathogens. Is the same true in the brain? They always thought no. Ask Lath. We don't know. We'll only find out when we do the analysis in more detail. And they just don't do these things. Based on what we know so far, there won't be the same diversity as in the gut. But they don't know. There are still doubters, and the notion remains controversial. What is hard to get any skeptics to go on the record, says Lurk. It's hard. They won't go on the record. They won't even talk, because as soon as they do, they're an outcast. If you submit your grant, and they're looking for grant money, to various places, you get anonymous complex. I don't believe it. This is impossible. To this day, it's very, very hard to get funding because of we call them dinosaurs. These are the people that are in charge, and they say, no, get away, get out of here. You're going to ruin our feathered bed. It says, well, microbes are found in the brains of all ages. More pathogens get through at ages when immunity is weaker. Well, what is immunity? Immunity is the enzymes to fight back. Babies don't have these enzymes yet because they haven't. It's just babies under 1 and older adults. Older adults, their microbiomes a lot of things have died off. We're always being assaulted by all kinds of toxins, and microbiome is nothing more than little bugs living in you, and they're being killed off. And then when you don't have them to do the job, or you don't have enough of them, you're vulnerable, a pre-existing condition. So, and babies don't have them because they haven't been exposed enough yet. So they don't have any immunities to these things. They're too small. And older adults, as their body defenses weakens, infections, inflammations seep around more easily. They're getting through the membranes. The only thing possible here is invasion through the membranes. And the same thing happens to your nervous system. All the wiring in your brain is protected by chemistry. If you don't have the right chemistry, they start seeping through, shorting your things out, and who knows what happens after that. So they want to keep the brain microbiomes healthy. How do you do that? Well, you have to have the correct bacteria, the correct enzymes, and we don't know what they are. We need to take samples of wherever we can get samples from, your earlobes, your freaking nose, your tonsils, everywhere, and see what's in those from healthy people versus not healthy people. And sooner or later that pattern, and it will be soon, it won't take long at all, it will develop. But we need to know fecal swabs and this kind of swab and that kind of swab. And we were dealing with people, and we are dealing with people all around the world right now, and it looks like Northern Ireland may jump in the lead on this, I'm hoping, because we have some very, very good people over there. Marguerite O'Reilly specifically is taking the lead on this and doing a fabulous job. But just like everything else, they got to get funding. She's been working on it for several years, and she's got an autistic son who was severely autistic, and he's recovered quite a bit now. So she's got some procedure she's got a little protocol, she calls it, and she's been helping people all over there, and they've taken notice of this in the government over there. And it looks like she's going to get her funding. It takes forever. It's been at least a couple of years now. But she's been working on this autism thing for 5 or 6 years now. I've been working with her, say 5 years. And she actually, as we started developing little techniques here, she ended up going to Harvard for the microbiome, for primarily ribosome type of interactions with enzymes. Let me show you that. That's the most important thing, because they don't understand that now. They just don't understand how the immune system works. They really don't understand it. And they don't understand why there's so many types of cancer. Answer that for me. Why is there over 100 types of cancers? Why are there 100 types of cancers? Every one of them is related to a different type of tissue. What does that tell you? Stop and think about that. Okay, my theory is different than this. They say the reason there are so many different types of cancers is due to the complexity of cancer biology and the diversity of cells in the human body. This is the key to diversity of cells. Cancer is invasion. Every cancer is invasion. Cancer is not a single disease. A collection of diseases can arise in almost any type of tissue or organ. Each type of cancer has its own set of causes, behaviors, and characteristics. This diversity can be attributed to several key factors. Now they go into mutations and this and that. The first thing you have to take into account is your biology correct? Is your chemistry correct? Is your bacteria right? Do you have the enzymes to do the jobs that you need to do to protect you from this invasion? All the rest is just nonsense. All they give you breast cancer, lung cancer, colon cancer, leukemias, lymphomas, Hodgkin's, melanomas. Then they say where located, the accumulation of mutations, this and that. All of that stuff is just is opinions and guesses. Conclusion: the vast number of different types of cancer, primarily due to the variety of cell types. Yes, every cell has its own membrane. And what does that membrane do? It protects what's inside the cell. What's inside the cell? Different chemistry for every different organ. Different chemistry, different membrane. We don't have the right stuff in the membrane, you can't protect yourself. What's supposed to be in the membrane? Bacteria. What does the membrane bacteria create? Enzymes. What are the ribosomes? What are the ribosomes? They're enzymes. What do enzymes do? They kill the invaders. That's the problem. They got to start with the bacteria. We need a bacteria database. After that, it's going to go easy. Okay, my friends, before we even get started, I want you to understand we're going to be speaking about cancer. There's been some new research on cancer, and it relates to membranes. It relates to how these cancers actually invade and break through these membranes. Now, I'm going to explain to you my theory, and it's just my theory. I'm a researcher, and cancer is not fully understood by any means. So let's start right from the beginning. What is cancer? Okay, when I say there's been some new research, this particular layer was never even known until 2018. This particular layer is called the Interstitium fluid-filled highway. I called it a giant network of fluid-filled tubular network, which is one giant network, and it is. And that fluid filters through every part of your body, and it also surrounds every cell in your body, this fluid. And that fluid contains the enzymes and the bacteria and the chemistry that protect you from invasion. There's a basement layer here that you're not supposed to go through. Once you go through that, you're in trouble. And otherwise, cancer stays this side. You still got cancer. It's all over the place. Everybody has cancer. You got cancer right now. But if it gets through here, you're in big trouble. When I say cancer, that's a kind of a term that's not fully understood. Let's talk about really what cancer even means. You see this? People think you got cancer, that's it, you're done. No, there's non-invasive cancers, and they're confined to the upside of the membrane. So they don't penetrate down through the basement layer, and they're considered to be benign. They just don't advance. Well, then you have cancer cells that invade the basement membrane through that layer that I said they're not supposed to go through. They're called invasive cancers, and they can metastasize. That means they can move around your body. They think they just start moving around because they've gotten through the layer. No. Well, in my opinion, and this again, I'm not a doctor. I give medical research information, not medical advice, research. So primarily, I'm talking to other researchers. And what I'm going to tell them is this invasion through this particular layer is the cause, basically, of all diseases that are invasive. They have to go through the membrane to get to cause the disease. It's just as simple as that. That's why there's 200 or so different types of cancers. Every single cell in your body, every type of cell, let me put it that way, has a specific chemistry. And if that chemistry is not met, that cell is going to be able to be invaded, and then it's subject to getting cancer. So the key to this whole thing is that every organ in your body, every muscle tissue, every type of tendon, everything, your eyeball, your ears, everything has its own special membrane, its own special coating. And if that coating gets invaded, you're in trouble. So why does it not get invaded? It not gets invaded because it has the chemistry in there that protects it. Where does that chemistry come from? Bacteria. Just so you understand what the mainstream opinion here is. And again, that's an opinion. I have an opinion too. They say that the basement membrane, this is the membrane you're not supposed to go through, is a thin layer of extracellular matrix. It acts as a structural barrier to cancer cells. It says, don't come through here. You try to come through here, I'm going to kill you. However, cancer cells can invade the basement membrane through a variety of mechanisms. Now, they came with all these different mechanisms. Well, I say, if you don't have the chemistry there, I don't care what you do. All these mechanisms don't mean anything. The chemistry is what stops it. That's what the mechanisms are designed around, is the chemistry. So don't forget, this is expendable tissue. That means nothing. That just comes and goes. So you got cancer coming through. And I mean, it's cancer. It is cancer. It's coming through here, and it says, ooh, 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 ooh. There's a barrier here. All right, guys, let's attack. Boom. these guys say, whoa, 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 you ain't coming through here. And they collect all their guys come with these fluids. They come in and they attack the hell out of it. No cancer. But if he says, hey, come on, guys, we got to attack this. He's coming through. They're coming. Hey, where's everybody? They're all dead. They died from something that caused the bacteria in your body to be some kind of antibiotic got into your body and killed the good bacteria. Now, what is an antibiotic? Well, it's something that kills good bacteria. You'd have to do that sometimes because, an antibiotic kills bacteria. There's good bacteria, there's bad bacteria. The antibiotic doesn't know the difference. They call them broad spectrum, most of them. And they don't actually target a specific bacteria. They target the way the bacteria live. In other words, it's like saying for creatures, we want to wipe out this one specific creature, so we'll stop all the oxygen. Well, everybody dies. You kill the one that you want to kill, but everybody else dies too. That's what happens a lot of times with antibiotics. They kill the good ones as well as the bad ones. So now all of a sudden your body can't fight back. That's when they come down here and the good guys can't come. There's no good guys to come. Right through. And then they start putting their little tentacles into this, which is very, very flush with blood. And it sucks it all up and they grow like gigantic. That's what cancer is. This is basically the invasion process of cancer. They start to grow into these tissue here, which is, it's expendable. It's not a big deal. You're always getting invaded in through here. But once you get to that layer, that's that thin layer they're talking about, and it pokes through there, then you're in trouble. Because now these things have a source of nutrition that's just never ending. They don't have to do anything. They just lay around and get fat. And that's when you're in trouble. But this is your protective barrier. That is literally your immune system is right there. And if you don't have the right chemistry in that immune system, it doesn't work. All right, so let's take this from the top. That is some kind of an invading pathogen. Let's call it cancer. It sends out its little tentacles trying to find some food. Is there any food out there? Any food? On the surface, there's really nothing to eat specifically, so they don't do too well. And these guys come along, which are the ribosomes, and they come to attack the invader. And when they hit the invader and they get a little tickle, they pop open like they're little balls like this. And they're just floating around having a good time in life, and they don't do anything. They don't eat, they don't poop, they don't do anything. They just lay around. They're free floaters, and there's billions and zillions and trillions of them in your body. Now, this thing tweaks a little thing like that and says, whoa, it's time for us to go into action. And it goes boom, and it grabs a hold of that guy, kills him. Well, there's a whole ton of them come up, and you see them, they're coming all over. And that's how you stop the invasion. All right, so you see the invaders. These are nasty little buggers. They want to come in and kill you and start taking up residence. These are your guys that are coming back to attack these guys. Where do these guys come from? We know they came from somewhere outside of your body, from some viral, bacterial nastiness, which has gotten into your tissues. If it gets into that layer that it's not supposed to get into, that's not the biggest deal in the world. You got so much fluids that can come and attack it, even though it's going to puncture through that. You're going to get punctured through that layer a lot. But you should be able to send your guys in, they come down, dead. And then they seal back up that layer again. That's what immunity is. Where do these guys come from? Those little round balls are these guys, the ribosomes. Bacteria are one single cell. That's a single cell creature. It has its own DNA that says, I am going to make a certain type of ribosome. And that ribosome has an exact set of chemistry in it. And I mean, it is exact and it is elegant as hell. And it just floats around in your body and squirts out these ribosomes all day long. Where do they go? Well, they float around your body. They're going anywhere they want. They're so small. This is a single cell. One single cell in your body can handle up to 1 million or more ribosomes inside that single cell. And in addition to that, it's got its own stuff, or its own organelles and all kind of stuff inside of there, in addition to up to a million or more ribosomes. All right, we're going to break this into pieces. Don't freak out. This is very, very, very simple. I showed you bacteria. You have thousands and thousands of species living in you right now. Almost all of them are good. There's some bad ones that they have to be there. They have to be in your body, the bad ones. So don't say, oh, I can't have any bad. No, you have them in you now, right now, and you absolutely require them. You know why? Because you are dying right now. Every cell in your body has a time limit, and they die. Well, what happens after they die? You don't just sweep them in the corner. They got to go. Somebody's got to clean them up. What happens? Who cleans them up? A flesh-eating bacteria. Now, you don't want those just roaming around eating anything they want. They have something specific built into them that says, hey, that guy's dead. It's some kind of, they call it apoptosis chemical or something. Comes out of a dead cell in your body, and one of these other guys runs over and starts to eat them up. That's the flesh-eating bacteria. But most bacteria create ribosomes. So here's your bacteria. It's got a flagella and it's spinning around and just doing whatever it wants. And then all of a sudden it's squirting out these ribosomes. Beep, 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 beep. That's its job. Well, what is a ribosome? Right here. Well, a ribosome consists of all of these, and I'm going to go into this deep in a second. And they turn into a ball. They squirt out all these little tiny protein things, and then they turn into a ball. So this is like this right here. It's coming out, squirting out like this. And then when they get out in a certain configuration, they turn into a ball. And that ball just floats around in your body until it's needed. And when it's needed, it opens up into an enzyme. The enzyme kills the bacteria. And at the same time, it invades your own DNA and tells, from now on, you see that bacteria, forget about it, kill it. Just get rid of them. That's a bad guy. So that's how your immunity gets built, right from bacteria. Bacteria is your immunity. You see this? I believe this is what's happened. I can't certainly tell you 100% for sure, but I believe this guy right here was one of these. And it's just gone and started to pop open to attack the bad guys. All right. Now, I think there's another one over here. This one's starting to crack open. As they hit these, they'll start to split open, and you'll see the enzymes come out of them. And they'll grab a hold of those and just kill them. And it's called click chemistry. One of these can go click, 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 click. It never gets used up. Of course, it's in this configuration. It goes bloop, 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 bloop. And it can do that 1,000,000 times a second. Instantaneously. It's click chemistry. It doesn't have to do anything more than magnetically go bloop, 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 and it kills all these guys. But you have to have these tons of good ones to come out and do the job, because you got tons of bad ones. These will just keep coming until you kill them all. But you got to get them before they get through that layer. Once they get through that layer, then they're going to be hard to stop. That's when you need some kind of an intervention. But you should never have to have any intervention. You shouldn't have to have any drugs or any of that stuff, any of these infusions and all that stuff for cancer, if you keep it from getting through the bacteria. That's why some people, they don't get the cancer, and some people get cancer. If you could test each one of them for bacteria, this is what I'm saying, this is what we've been trying to get done, is a bacterial database that says, this is what you should have in your body for bacteria. And these are the levels. That would make a healthy person. And you can find out who's healthy and who's not. Eventually that database will work its way out to say, everybody's got a high one of these, they're going to get diabetes. Everyone's got low one of these is going to get dementia. Whatever it is. It's chemistry. It is chemistry. It's very, 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 very simple. There's no big hidden thing here. It's a very, very simple process of stopping it getting through the membrane. You have over 200 different cancers. Why? Every one of them has a different type of protective barrier surrounding that particular type of organ. Your kidneys have different chemistry surrounding them than your liver. Same as your heart, your lungs. Everything has a different set of chemistry surrounding it. And if you don't support that chemistry with those exact bacteria, you're not going to have the correct chemistry, and then you're going to be predisposed to infection. If you don't ever get around something to infect you, well, you're probably okay. But if you get around some of these bad guys and you can't send the good guys, you're sick. So don't forget, I showed you got your bacteria. They're squirting out these little ribosomes. Then you get a trigger. It clicks it off and it says, okay, open up and do your job. So this guy comes through, he goes, brrr, all the sheath comes off. He gets huge pile of magnetic impulses. These are called dipole magnetic moments. They're all over the place, and they have to be exactly in the right place. It goes click, 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 and it kills them all. Never even gets used up. It's just magnetic impulses. Now, are enzymes proteins? Well, what's the difference between a protein and an enzyme? Well, an enzyme, I just showed you, has an enormous amount of chemistry built into it, and it's magnetic, basically. Proteins have an enormous amount of chemistry built into them, but they don't destroy things, they build things. Proteins build, enzymes destroy. They both come from the same source. They come out of bacteria. Now, if you think enzymes are just slimy little bacteria, slimy stuff that doesn't have much intelligence, you are way off the mark, my friend. This is a ribosome. It comes from a single-celled bacteria, and it is programmed with all of those program codes. That is nothing more than sitting down going and building a huge magnetic profile. But it has to come out of that ball. The ball was just rolling around in there, and all of a sudden something goes, it goes click, and that's called a trigger. And it turns it and it rips the shell open, and then it does all that from that one little tiny ball. And that is what saves you, is that protein or enzyme. And the proteins build your body. You need those to build your body. You need enzymes to kill the bad things and to break down the food so that when you can build it back up. When you eat a carrot, you don't grow from a carrot. You grow from the products that are in the carrot. But you got to get those out in their individual component parts. So you got to have something like this to come in and say, okay, carrot, come here. And here's some calcium, here's some magnesium, here's some carbon, or whatever it is. And then somebody go, hey, I need some of that, 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 and it drags it around through your body and distributes it around. That's how you live and that's how you grow. And without the enzymes, you can't do it. You can't create the things you need to grow, and you cannot stop your invaders. Bacteria is the most important thing you have in your body right now. And for many years, they gave full spectrum, broad spectrum bacteria antibiotics to just everybody. Yeah, just take it, don't worry about it, it's good for you. Well, it wasn't. I actually had to have surgery twice for a fistula, which broke through my anal wall. And I almost became incontinent. The guy said, you're lucky you're not incontinent. You have to wear a diaper the rest of your life. And that was after having antibiotics for a root canal. It killed the bacteria in my body. And then I started taking some other stuff, and it stopped, because now I replenished the bacteria. And they know this now. That's why there's such a big push on the probiotics and all that. This has been going on for the last 10 years. And they realize... There was just an article about how they realized they've made a big mistake about how disease proliferates in the body. And they're starting to research this. That's what research is, and that's all I do. I'm not saying take this, don't take that, eat this, don't eat that. None of that. I don't do any of that. I do research. This is the kind of stuff I do. You see this? This is how complicated your body is. Every single cell in your body, first of all, has its own membrane. Then it has all these ribosomes floating around in there. They can have 1 million of them. You got Golgi apparatus. You got all kinds of everything going on in here. Endoplasmic reticulum, mitochondria, which is the powerhouse for the cell. You got everything. It's very, very complicated. But without the ribosomes, anything goes wrong in here, you don't have any drugs. The ribosomes are the drugs. The ribosomes are these. And they could make these things, and they go around and they clean up the garbage. Basically, that's what it is. It's as simple as that. You eat things, you got garbage. You got to get rid of it. The bacteria is there to consume it, carry it over to the lymph, the lymph nodes and whatever. Everybody has its own job. But if you don't have the guy to do the job doesn't get done. That means the garbage piles up, and then what happens then? You got all kind of rats and infestation, and you get sick. I'm going to leave it at that. It's really not as complicated as they're making it. Every single cancer has one thing in common. It's invasion through the membrane. I have discovered that every membrane has its own special ports that allow fluids from that specific membrane to go to the next specific membrane. And I believe there's something to do with those ports. And those are I call them the Spurlock. That's another thing that's not known. I was the one that discovered Interstitium in 2015, which was the fluid-filled highway. And now it's considered the biggest organ in the human body. They never even knew it existed. So I've been working on this for many years, much longer than the doctors. So I know now how that fluid flows between organs. And there's two little tiny holes that allow it to flow into the next organ. And somehow it has to change the chemistry, because the chemistry in that organ is not going to be the same as the chemistry in this organ. We have to protect this one with some special chemistry and this one with some other special chemistry. That's why that can get cancer and this one's fine. It's because the chemistry inside of each of these different organs, the casing around them is different. And it's able to be penetrated because one of them is missing one specific type, and the other one has all the stuff it needs, and this one has almost all the stuff, but it's missing something. You get invasion, you get cancer. All right, and we're working on this right now. We're working on trying to get a database going. And it looks like they're maybe going to work with us over in Northern Ireland. In the United States, I haven't had a single hit from anybody to help whatsoever. And anyway, we're hoping maybe the European Union, they're all over there. They're talking about this now because there's been some significant changes in the health of some of these people after doing some of these special little protocols that they've been testing. It's testing. This is research. That's all I do. I'm not telling you what they're doing or what they're taking or what they're not taking. I'm just telling you there are changes coming. And but they have to be allowed. They can't be suppressed as that has been happening. They've been just suppressed. And you have to take the steps necessary to do the research. And right now, the funding is coming through, it looks like. We're going to find out. It's taken a very, very, very long time when it shouldn't have taken this long at all. And even the researchers that are, I've talked to a lot of researchers that are in this same mode that I'm in, that they realize there's a solution to this. And there's a solution to a lot of different diseases, because every disease means you got invaded. Even your nervous controls, even your motor controls, they have to all be insulated. Every wire in your body, which is the nerve fibers, and there is millions of them. Every one of them has to be separated and insulated from the other one, just like two wires in a house. You can't have them touching. Your house will be going, fires and all kinds of things happen. Same thing happens in your brain. You gotta keep them separate. How do you keep them separate? Chemistry. This is the key. They don't understand chemistry. They really don't even understand what molecules are made of. I'm not kidding you. They have no idea what molecules are made of. None. Zero. They're looking for the nucleus of atoms. They have no clue whatsoever. They're spending billions and trillions of dollars. We already showed what is in the nucleus, and it is light. Light is the only particle that exists, and condensed light turns into matter. Really, things are so simple, it's unbelievable. Light comes from the sun to the earth. We know they're particles. Oh, they're not particles. Of course they're particles. How do they get from there to here? And when they hit plants, the plants grow. Light is literally the food for plants. They use the stuff that's in the ground, but the energy is from the light. Light covers everything. And that's a whole nother area of our research that is from the light research. It shows light can accelerate, light can slow down, light is a particle, light itself is half dark matter. That's right, it's half dark matter. We've shown all of these things, and so far academia has destroyed that research, and so has the national laboratories that we fund. They've destroyed my research for 10 years. I showed this stuff to Fermilab, Don Lincoln, who is the gatekeeper there, and we have been at odds for the last 10 years. And as far as I'm concerned, Fermilab and Don Lincoln specifically have stood in the way of the advancement of physics, not in helping it. They've stood in the way. You see this? We did this 10 years ago. Muon neutrino is the black particle. The electron neutrino is the white particle. The two of them together were attached. When they hit our Venturi, they created Cherenkov radiation, which is the white has separated from the black. The black particle, which is the muon, has become sterile all by itself. The white has gone into electron showers. That is the holy grail of physics. 10 years ago we did this. I showed this to CERN. I showed it to all of the labs. Primarily Fermilab, because this is what they have been tasked to do, spending trillions of our dollars and wasted every one of them. And wait till you see this. You see this? They stole my research. Spooky action at ultra short distances, unlocking the quantum core of matter. Listen to this. They never knew what was inside here. They still don't know. But it says, listen, this is just absolutely crazy. Researchers at Brookhaven Lab discovered that quarks and gluons inside protons are entangled, reshaping the understanding of proton structure. Wow! Peering inside protons. Well, guess what? We peered inside of them, and what's inside of them is this. Now, I sent all my research to all of these guys, Fermilab, and I interacted with the professors and everything at University of Geneva, who is part of CERN, really. And I told them, I said, we saw these particles using CMOS, and they said, no, you can't use CMOS, it'll destroy, the particles will destroy the CMOS. I said, no, we're using light, you're using protons, which are big chunks. We're using this. They're using these. When they break theirs, they hit something like this. It's like hitting a Mack truck into the CMOS, it destroys it. We do exactly what the CMOS is designed for, is to pick up these particles. So we're in good shape. They're the ones that are in trouble. And they're never going to get it right because they're using too big of particles. They should have used light. And now they are. Now they're doing that. But when they talk about gluons and so forth, these are the two particles, and together they're gluons. The black one is the dark muon. We separated it from the white electron shower. These are the gluons, and back to back they make a photon. Now we are being taken to the cleaners by all of these labs. They're spending literally trillions of our dollars, trillions. If Musk and Elon Musk and Trump want to fix things, they're going to start with Fermilab right off the bat. Bingo. See you later, Fermilab. I sent all this stuff to Fermilab 10 years ago. I found the exact same particles. They do exact same thing that they do, and they block me from commenting because I have overstepped their boundaries, which they put on to make funding. As far as I'm concerned, it's all about funding. They couldn't care less about the truth. That's what I have found. If you don't think I'm wrong, show me why I'm wrong. All right, I'm sorry I get off track here, but this really annoys the hell out of me. 10 years, we could have had free energy as far as I'm concerned. We can accelerate this light, we can divide the white from the black, and that's all you need to do is get the white on one side and the black on the other side, and the white is all the energy and no weight. The black is all the mass and no intrinsic energy. It only has energy when it's moving. And we could put these in a box like this, and I think that would power a house or anything. We needed a couple of weeks to test it out. This is light before it accelerates. This is light accelerate. They can't, no, you can't accelerate light. Bullshit. Everything they're telling us is wrong. And they know it's wrong now. And now it's just fraud, as far as I'm concerned. These are the Higgs fields. They know about them. We could create them on demand, tons of them. These are the particles of photons. Okay, those are actual photons. These here are green photons. You see that? That's light. That's not nothing. That is light. All right, and those are the things that make up mass. It's atomic vapor. All right, half of one of these would be an electron. It has the dark matter built into it. They no clue. They're just totally lost. The dark matter is in the middle of every single molecule, every single atom. Right in the center is where the dark is. We never see it because it just bounces back at us, the white parts. But in a mass, the dark goes to the center. That's why we've never seen it. It's everywhere. We're standing on it right now. You're made of dark matter, basically. You got energy inside you too, but every single part of you that has weight is dark matter. Energy has no matter, no weight. The electricity part, the energy part, has no weight whatsoever. We are made of dark matter. They're so absolutely wrong about everything. It's unbelievable. Dark matter is gravity. It's the only reason that all the light is attracted to the earth. Dark matter is a sink. It's a sink. White attracts to the dark matter so desperately that it will go through your body and explode you to get to that dark matter. That's the difference between the white and the black. It's dark matter and it's white matter. All right? And they're attached together as electrons, and two electrons together is what we call a photon. And 1,839 or so of the gluons together make one proton. And then they seem to become stable in those masses. And as they grow, they get bigger and bigger masses, but they seem to keep stability in certain balls, bigger and bigger balls. They seem to be okay. But in between, like if it's supposed to be this big, but it's missing a few of these, it's called unstable. It's not going to stay that way. It's either going to go down or it's going to go up. And it will go down or up to one of these. And that's what the enzymes do. They create that making and breaking to create energy and things for life. Now, I know I've gone into a lot of different places here, and I got a lot of places I can go. Because absolutely nothing that they have taught you is correct. If you go into school for core curriculum, theoretical, anything, history, physics is all wrong. I just showed you it's wrong. We can accelerate light, we can slow light down, we can split light. I created, look at this. That's fission and that's fusion. Fission and fusion. The white has no energy, has no mass whatsoever. It weighs nothing. The black has all the weight. You are made of black dark matter. But surrounding that dark matter is these particles, the white particles. They're the energetic particles. And that's what bounces back. I look at somebody and I see them. What happens is the white stuff bounces back at me. The dark stuff is inside. That's the stuff that they're made of. That's the solid stuff. So much is so misunderstood. I just can't even believe it anymore. And it doesn't want to be understood. They're perfectly happy deluded. PhDs, perfectly happy deluded. Just keep paying us. Give us more funding. We'll figure this out in another couple thousand years. No problem. Just more and more billions. I call it PhDolia. They can't see what's in front of their face. They say, oh, you're seeing things that aren't there. Oh, no, I'm seeing things that are there. You're not seeing what is there. That's the problem with PhDolia. I don't miss things, my friends. They're the ones that miss. All right, I love you all. Let's turn this thing around. This is insanity. I love you. Goodbye.